One of the really, really good things about it was all the encouragement and actually for the first time being able to speak to other men about this. That was like a game changer. We suffer in silence and we keep it to ourselves and there's like nobody to talk to, nobody that understands you. Even if you do have a friend that you can speak to, he's not gonna get it, he's not really gonna understand it like how the guys in the group understand it. You know what I mean?
What is going on, my brother on the struggle? This is Chris, your Reboot Hero, coming at you with another testimonial from a brother coming to us from the implementation program. I have seen this guy grow and just really prosper, and it's been my honor to be his Reboot Hero. In this process, I am speaking with my brother Kevin. How you doing today, sir?
Doing good. And yourself?
Hey, listen, man, I can't complain. We're living life out here. I appreciate you making the time just to speak to us a little bit about your time on the program so far. And yeah, appreciate you talking to somebody that might not know anything about when it comes to recovery from this type of behavior. So I appreciate you using your story to help enhance stories of others. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's start from the beginning, man. That's where a good place to start a story, right?
Mhm.
I want to
Yep.
know, first of all, how did you discover the program to begin with?
So I found JK back in, I think this was back in like 2018.
Hmm.
I was searching online for like um porn addiction and whatnot, compulsive behavior.
Yep.
And I can't remember exactly where I found him, but I had found him online. And this was a while back, so this was before the implementation program and whatnot. This was when you could only work with him. There was nobody else, And yeah, I reached out to him. We spoke on the phone um, for an initial call, and then a few weeks later, he had called me back, and we spoke again. And like I said, at the time, you were only able to work with him one on one. So financially, it wasn't in the cards for me. Um, but he did give me some resources and things I could use, and he did have like free programs and whatnot at the time. So I made use of those. And then years later, or a few years later, in 2020, I had reached out to him. And this is when he started the implementation program. And I think he had emailed me and told me about it, like, hey, I'm starting this program, whatever. And again, still, I wasn't in a good place financially, but I did have a small investment and it was kind of locked in and I was waiting for it to be freed up. And I told him this and I was like, hey, as soon as financially it's in the cards for me, I'm gonna get back to you. And I did. And then he had GT reach out to me, and then that's how I initially joined back in February of 2020. I joined the implementation program. But honestly though, I just wasn't ready for the whole program and everything, you know what I mean? And I kind of didn't really make use of the program. So I guess I was kind of kicked out or whatever. Or I guess the time that I had in the group had elapsed and I just didn't use anything. Um so then I think in March of 2023, JK reached out to me again. He emailed me and he was like, "Hey Kevin, like, just checking in, like what's going on?" And then, I told him my situation and it wasn't good, to say the least. It wasn't good. And GT had reached out to me right after that. Sent me his calendar. I booked a call with him. And yeah, March of 2023, I was able to rejoin the program and I've been in there ever since.
That's awesome, man. No, I appreciate you sharing that. And I think
Mhm.
it's really interesting. Can you expand on that a little bit? How you said the
Mhm.
first time you joined this group, you felt like you weren't ready. And I talk to guys all the time, and,
Mhm.
you know, you're certainly not the only one who's felt that way. You know what I mean? Can you talk a little
Mhm.
bit about that?
Yeah, so um, obviously, I've been trying to end my behavior for a long time, right? And that's why I reached out to JK to begin with. And then, like I said, I had joined the implementation program, but I don't know, I guess there was like two sides to me at that time. It's like this guy that wants to quit and end his behavior and live the life he wants, but then this guy that still wants to live that other life. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And I guess at that time, at that point, and I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back in hindsight, though, um, and yeah, that's why I say, and it took me like when I rejoined the program to realize that, hey, at that time, I just, I wasn't ready. I think mentally, I didn't make that mental commitment 100%. I know for everybody it's different. I guess some guys they got to hit rock bottom and certain things have to happen to them for them to really get serious with it. And I think that's what it was for me. Although things were bad at the time, I guess I really hadn't hit rock bottom at that point. So I just really didn't really take things seriously. So I think that was my issue when I initially joined.
hmm And then once you finally felt like you were ready, to really make that change, to not just like learn stuff, because you're a smart dude. It's not a matter of like, I don't necessarily understand how this works. It's just a matter of like turning that information into implementation, right?
Mhm,
Take
exactly.
the know how into the do now. So when you felt like you were ready to make those
Mhm.
changes happen, tell me a little bit about that. Like, what did that feel like?
Um, it was definitely a different experience. Well, when JK had reached out to me and I did rejoin, I was at rock bottom. It was so I think that contributed to it. But you know what? And again, it's different for everyone. I think for me, I was just tired of being sick and tired. I couldn't deal with it anymore, dude. You know what I mean? And I was in like a really dark place, and yeah, I won't get into all that, but it was like I had to do it, dude.
hmm
Yeah.
I'm glad you did, bro. I'm in more ways than one. I'm really, really happy that you're here.
Thanks.
So let's talk a little bit about your experience in the Facebook group itself. Can you describe that a
Hmm.
little bit?
Oh, that's been great. I know at first for me, it was a little bit of overwhelm. I went into the group. I kind of didn't know what to expect at first, and due to my behavior, I hadn't been very social over the years, so I felt it kind of difficult to interact with men at first. And then there was a lot of guys that I seen in the group that were doing really well, and I gotten to a point where I started to like compare myself to them, and I'd have a slip or a relapse or something like that, and I'd be afraid to post it, and you know what I mean? And I'd look at other brothers and then be like, oh, this guy's been going good for the last like couple of weeks or couple of months, and so there was that. One of the really, really good things about it was all the encouragement. And
Mm,
actually for the first time being able to speak to other men about this, and like that was like a game changer. Because with this we suffer in silence and we keep it to ourselves, and there's like nobody to talk to, nobody that understands you. Even if you do have a friend that you can speak to, he's not gonna get it. He's not really gonna understand it like how the guys in the group understand it. You know what I mean? Yeah, the group is great. It's great. It's one thing to have an accountability partner, but to have a whole group of men, and guys that are on different levels, some guys that just joined, guys that been in there a few months, guys that are like ready to leave, and you get to see everybody's different experiences and everything. And there's so much information and resources there. There's like a whole archive of brothers posts from over the past like who knows how many years. And there's therapists in the group as well too that I've been utilizing. And then they have all the coaches such as yourself in the group, and it's an amazing thing, man. It's amazing. Yeah, I love it.
Dude, that's awesome, and I love that you spoke to all that. It's so, so important. And speaking of the therapists in the group,
Mhm,
I want to hear a little bit about your experience in the coaching calls. We have, trauma informed coaches that are
mhm,
able to take your reboot from like, walking to really running. So I'm
yeah.
curious to hear a little bit about your experience with the coaches.
Oh, the coaches. So there's a Dr. Rankin, Coach Milan, and Dr. Eastman. I tend to attend Dr. Eastman's calls the most, because she deals with childhood trauma. and I do have a lot of issues from my past and when I was younger. But the calls are amazing. You get to submit your question the day before, so you have time to really sit down and think of, something you want to ask your question, and then you join the group, and you get to interact with the therapist when your question comes up, and you can interact with the other guys in the group, and other dudes will help you out and reach out to you. Some guys might even reach out to you after, because of the question that you asked really relates to them, and now he wants to talk to you about things, and it's amazing. All the coaches in the group, like yourself, me and you have spoken so many times, which has helped me so much. Like it's like that's totally different from the whole therapy thing. The coaches, you just get a total different perspective on things, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really great, man.
Dude, I'm so happy, man. And the things that we would learn in those coaching calls, they're things that can apply not just to our, you know, behaviors that may have led us to asking for help from a group like this to begin with, but things that could help us with our everyday lives. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I'm curious as to what are some of the tools that have helped you out along the way, like tools you've learned either from the modules or from the reading material or just from your experience in the group. What have some of the tools been that have helped you out along the way?
Man, there's been so many. And I'll just want to say, like, it's I think JK has said it, like the tools, they're so simple, some of them, like you just take a piece of paper and a pen and you think like, how is this gonna help me out? But it's just yeah, the tools are amazing. But so for me, the tools that I tend to gravitate towards the most are the feelings exercise, journaling, dialoguing, writing out my goals, writing out my wins, and writing out my gratitude as well. I also like to use the tools like they have the win wall. That's another one that I use a lot. The obstacle transformer is a good one as well too. And yeah, I think those are probably some of the main. Those are probably my main tools that I use,
Mm,
or that I've been using. There's some others, but those are the ones I probably use the most.
yeah, so you certainly have no shortage of options.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I love that, man. So, so good. So, a question that I love to ask guys that I have the opportunity to speak to like this is this. Let's
Mhm.
imagine you see somebody, you know somebody who, like you said, is just struggling in silence regarding this type of behavior, right? They don't know
Mhm.
what to do, they don't know where to turn, they're feeling stuck, they're feeling lost. Knowing what you know now, having experienced what you've experienced thus far, is there anything in particular that you would want to tell that person?
Man, I'd tell that person, for one, do not give up. Don't give up. I would tell them to seek out help. It's 2024. Like, Google, go to your doctor, see somebody, but definitely seek out help. And if I met somebody, I would recommend the program to them. I would recommend the podcast. That's another one that I didn't mention, is the podcast. Listen to that every single day. Yeah, I would recommend the podcast to them, and I would recommend that they reach out to Elevated Recovery and try to get on a call and go from there. But I would definitely say do not give up.
I mean, that starts right there. I mean, you and I know very well. I mean, like you said earlier, people might experience this themselves, but it's a
Mhm.
taboo subject. It's not exactly dinner table conversation. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, this is a community of men from around the world that get it.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm curious though, why Elevated Recovery? Why join the group?
I mean, I haven't seen it all as far as who's out there when it comes to recovery from sexual addiction or sexually compulsive behavior. But from what I have seen over the years, and not just because I'm in the program, I would definitely say that Elevated Recovery is the best. Like, they are the best, like, hands down. Just think about it like this: when the founder of the company, he himself went through the same problem that he's trying to help men overcome. It's like, you know what I mean? That says a lot.
Absolutely. Anybody that you see, on this staff, like on the team behind the scenes, we've had our ups and downs with
Mhm.
this type of behavior too. We don't
Mhm.
just have the know-how, we've been there. You know what I'm saying? And we just want to see guys win. And if you're listening to this, I mean, take it from Kevin. I mean, he's winning in his own ways. Like, I'm sure, like, no one's near like a finished product, but how would you say that you've grown, Kevin, like today where you're at now compared to, when you first started this reboot process?
Oh man, leaps and bounds. Different. I become so much more self-aware. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm on my way there, and I've made so much progress. I have so much more hope now. I used to be so pessimistic, and now I'm a lot more optimistic. And I feel that I've grown a lot as a man. For a long time, like before the program, I felt like I was still acting like a teenager, like a guy in his like early 20s or whatever. And being coming into the program and being exposed to different types of men and doing what you have to do to end your behavior, it just it changes you. And yeah, I'm still becoming, on my way there. Not there yet, but I'll get there eventually.
And that's the hope we're talking about. Every single one of us are working on our own stuff. Every
Hmm.
single one of us are on our own journey, as they say, right? But the fact that you're here with that hope, with that toolbox that you were talking about, it's like, oh, I've got this tool, I've got this tool that you didn't have before. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So you've got all that you need. And the fact that you're learning more and you're still going after it speaks a lot to your character and the type of character you see from guys in the group. It's that
Hmm.
song from the 90s. I get knocked down, but I get back up again. So I really, really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your thoughts, feelings, and experience with us thus far. If there's anybody that might be listening or watching to this that might be struggling, still in that struggling in silence spot where they might be on the fence, any last words to a brother like that before we say goodbye?
Man, I would say just get off the fence. Get off get off the fence and just do it, man. It's like you've already wasted enough years. Don't waste any more, you know what I mean? Just do what you have to do and get your life changed now and be the man you want to become now. You've already wasted all that time, right? Don't waste any more.
You heard it from the man himself, Kevin, everybody. Thank you so much and all the best to you, man.